Welcome to the Every Temple podcast, where we believe that every temple of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has a story and a legacy. Every member of the church has their favorite temples, and our quest is to talk about each one. My name is Tony, and my co-host Janelle and I are faithful members and friends who have embarked on this journey together. Latter-day Saints consider each temple to be a house of the Lord and the most sacred places of worship on the earth. The primary purpose of temples is for faithful members of the church to receive peace, inspiration, and spiritual power as they enter into sacred agreements with God in His holy house. This is the 6th episode of our first season. We're talking about the pioneer temples, and the 6th temple is the beautiful and impressive and iconic Salt Lake Temple. And because this is such a big deal, we have a special guest for today's podcast. Yay. My friend Becky has joined us.
Hi, everyone.
Becky, can you tell us why you love the Salt Lake Temple?
Well, you're absolutely right that it's iconic. So I think that it has a special place in the history of the church. But for me personally, it's the temple where my grandparents were married, and my parents, and me, and my husband's parents. So we have ties to it that way. But bigger is the tie that my family has to it because of some trees, which is a story that I would love to share with you.
Oh, what a good,
looking forward to hearing that.
Little teaser. Okay, before we start on the Salt Lake Temple, let's do some temple news. So there are no open houses or dedications happening imminently, but I thought we'd just go over the stats for 2024.
Okay.
In 2024, 32 temples were announced, which is, I think, second most. 2023 had more. So 14 groundbreakings, 16 dedicated temples all over the world, and 1 rededication, which was Manti.
Okay, cool.
And so right now there are 51 under construction, 9 under renovation, and 114 announced.
Oh. I just love all of that. Just all the work going into all the temples. It's exciting.
It is exciting. It just means somebody needs to be talking about it. Somebody needs to be talking about these.
Yeah.
They're impressive buildings. They're important.
When my mom was a girl, her goal was to go to every temple. And she said there's more temples just in Utah now than there were in the whole world when she was a youth.
Yeah. When I was a youth, I was like, let's just do a road trip of Utah temples. And it was like unfeasible.
Even then.
Even then. And now it's even more unfeasible.
Yeah.
But, it's awesome. It's awesome.
I think we should still have the goal of going to every temple.
Sure.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
In every country.
If the church wants to call me to that position, I would be honored and just do my best to fulfill that calling.
My next door neighbor went to 50 temples by her 50th birthday.
Oh, see, wow.
Cool.
That's, goals. Okay, so let's talk about the Salt Lake Temple. There's so much to talk about it. And if I miss something, please interrupt me. Ask questions, whatever.
That's a lot in the history of this one.
I read a 400-page book called 40 Years, the Saga of Building the Salt Lake Temple by Mark Henshaw, if anyone wants to check that out. And so I'm trying to condense that into a page and a half. It's okay. So what we need to know is the first 10 years, nothing was accomplished. They started in 1853. They dug out the foundation super quick. President Young was like, let's get this done. I want the foundations out by conference. And they started in February. And if you know, like Salt Lake ground, it's frozen in February. But it was like thousands of man hours put into digging out 16 feet down, I think, for the whole temple. And then they put in the foundation. Then they buried the foundation because the army was coming. Yep. And then when the army didn't leave, but they didn't cause a problem, they uncovered it all.
That still took like 4 or 5 years for them to uncover it.
And then they found that they didn't like how it was built. Now I've heard, like in the movie, they talk about it being cracked. I don't know that it was cracked, but they had built it using like shims and things to make it level instead of just like really working hard to make each block perfect. They had like done little cheats. And it's like the weight of the temple is not gonna work on that kind of a foundation. So that's why they had to redo it all.
Yeah.
And that's why it took 10 years.
Yeah. So my husband does stuff with the Salt Lake Temple. Mm. And so he knows some of the construction going on. It's really interesting. So he's like telling me all this stuff.
Oh man.
And
he's got engineering insights.
So the foundation is like rocks and mortar.
Yeah.
And then and that was uneven. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like what you're talking about. And that's still there. And that's like their sandstone.
Yeah, it foundation. Was sandstone, which I think is super interesting. Everyone thinks they dug it out and put in granite. They didn't do that.
Right.
They kept the sandstone.
Yes.
Foundation.
Yeah. And then so cracks and things that they kind of talk about. They put like a slab on top of that foundation and built more foundations. So there were a few like cracks, or just some of the places were just kind of inconsistent and needed to be better. So the foundation is really thick and tall and solid.
That's good.
Yeah.
They did it right. It just took them 10 years.
Yeah.
So then when they got that figured out, they started to haul the stone down from Little Cottonwood Canyon, and it would take 4 days to get 1 ton block down with oxen and everything. They were looking for other ways to do it. They almost dug a canal. They started digging a canal, but it wasn't going to work. And then the railroad got close enough. They volunteered people to go up and finish building the Transcontinental Railroad, and then got the spur down to Salt Lake. And the first thing they did was get it to Little Cottonwood to the building site. So they could do that, a block of stone, in a couple hours, which sped things up considerably.
From 4 days to
like an hour and a half. Yeah. So at that point, the bottlenecks changed from moving the stone to fine tuning the stone in the temple square. They had 100 stone cutters working every day, trying to get the stones perfect to then be put on. And they did that by hand. Like, if you look at the temple, they're so smooth. That stuff was done by hand, which is incredible.
So, like, while the temple foundation was buried, they were doing all these the planning.
Yes. Truman Angel was doing all of, like, every block. He knew the dimensions,
size
and where
shape,
it goes.
and all of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like this has to be said, like, this temple is like pretty much double the size of what they've already done. So
it's more like 4 times the size.
Yeah. So it's already like so huge.
Yeah.
And so, because I'm like, why did it take 40 years, really? And then, like, so it's so huge. And then I feel like getting the stone from the quarry took 37 years to build the walls, and the interior only took
1 year.
A year. So
1 year. They had a lot of stuff going on. They had to build the railroad. They had to build the tabernacle. The tabernacle got done first.
Yeah.
They built the temples in St. George and Manti and Logan. And it was like they were working on it. But it did take
And then getting the stone from the quarry to the temple site.
Yeah. It took a long time. The railroad came in 1870s. So they still had 20 more years of carving stuff.
And if you want to be picky, it's quartz monzonite.
Yes. It's not granite.
Not granite.
No,
it is not
quartz
granite.
monzonite.
I am learning so many things.
I don't know the difference, but I'm sure they're both very good.
Yeah, it's probably in like the granite family. It's granite-like stone, but whatever. All the people who want to really know.
Yeah. Okay, so as they're getting finished with it in the 1890s, the polygamy battle is really intensifying. The government is taking basically all the church's money and assets and imprisoning men, and leaders are going into hiding. And so it's kind of stressing everybody out.
Yeah.
So they just got to get it finished, and they're like, okay, the capstone was April 1892. They're like, we have 1 year. You have 1 year to finish the inside. It was just a cavern, empty. And so they wanted it to be on the 40th anniversary, which is April 6th.
Yeah.
Of when President Young put the first cornerstone in. So they worked their tails off and got all that interior work done. They had a lot of contractors going all the time. Everybody doing different parts of.
Apparently it was finished just hours before they actually started showing it and dedicating it.
Yeah,
which
said
seems
like the afternoon it was finished.
Like a lot of temples are like that.
So
yeah, I do.
Oh man, do you want a fun fact? fun fact about the sculptor of the Angel Moroni.
Okay,
his name was Cyrus Dallin, and he was not a member of the church, but he grew up in Springville, and he was an accomplished artist. And he almost didn't accept the job because he didn't believe in heavenly angels.
Okay.
After he completed the job, though, and as it was placed on top of the temple, he was sitting next to President Woodruff. And President Woodruff leaned over and said, "Do you believe in angels now?" And he said, "Yes, my mother is an angel."
Aww.
Isn't that sweet?
Yes.
Was the Salt Lake Temple the first temple to have an angel Moroni?
The first, upright angel. Nauvoo had a flying angel, but yeah, it's the first, iconic angel Moroni. But he based it on Old Testament. A New Testament in Galatians, they have like I saw an angel flying and something. I don't remember the rest of this scripture, but yeah. So he did a great job with that. They did do the first open house. I don't call it a public open house though, because they just invited a few. It was by invitation only.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying. So if you were invited to come and look, business leaders, community leaders were invited to come and tour the temple with, I don't know, general authorities. Okay, and then they had the dedication, the dedicatory sessions. They held 31 of them over 21 days or something. Yeah. They could fit 2,500 people in the assembly hall at the top of the temple. So they just maxed it out. And he just said, whoever wants to come, if they have a temple recommend, they can come. Even down to age 8. So this is where the age 8 rule comes from.
Okay.
But then he also did dedicatory sessions for children with their primary teachers. Well, they call them Sunday school teachers, but they did like 5 sessions for little children, and they could fit 3,000 little children, which I thought was so cute. But yeah, so 12,000 children were able to do a dedicatory session in the temple when it was completed.
Really neat.
I think that's really cool.
So do you think he just had written down the prayer and said the same prayer every time?
Yeah, because we still have it written down.
I guess so.
They did say the one for the kids was shorter.
Very wise.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I'm going to turn it over to you guys for some stories and symbolism.
Okay.
What have you got?
I was going to go back to the angel Moroni, and they were going to put 2 on, 1 on each side, because there's 6 spires.
Right.
But then they didn't.
It would look totally different if they did.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't. Whatever. Anyways, there's like a 4,000-pound counterbalance to keep it immovable.
Right. So there's a long rod, like a 20-something foot rod that goes down, and then a counterbalance. I didn't realize that.
Oh.
I thought it was like glued on. But I think this is more sturdy.
Well, I had a little ceramic Salt Lake Temple on top of my wedding cake. And it had a plastic angel Moroni that was glued on, and it fell off.
Oh, dang.
So it must have needed a counterbalance.
Yeah, it needs that rod to hold it down.
Yep. So, yeah. Then I don't know what happened, but that earthquake happened in 2020, and...
Well, just the trumpet
fell off. That's true.
Yeah.
He didn't fall off, but the trumpet fell. So
that was such a thing to happen.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's the same time that our symbol, I think, was changing.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. I was thinking COVID, earthquake, Angel Moroni.
The world was ending.
Everything's going to be terrible.
Anyways.
But the temple was closed at the time, which is also interesting.
Yeah. And it didn't fall all the way to the ground. It fell like on one of
the roof,
spires, the roof, whatever. Anyway, I'm glad no one was hurt. But that was kind of a funny joke for a while.
Yeah, it was. It made some good memes.
Yep. And there was in that round capstone that he's kind of standing on is a time capsule.
Yeah.
So they opened it up, but it wasn't sealed properly.
Yeah.
There were pictures and books and stuff in there that were damaged. But
they said when they put it together, they did a capstone ceremony or something, and people would hike all the way up on stairs up to just put in a coin. And maybe it had their name on it or something. They did a YouTube video about this, like Church News did it. And the first comment was so funny. The top comment was, more like how not to make a capsule. But in there, one of the books that they put in was my ancestors, like he wrote missionary discussions, basically. And that was one of the books in there.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The coins kind of survived, but the books did not very well.
I think it's a good reminder that anything that is preserved from history is a miracle. You know, any records that we have, any ancient buildings or all of those archaeological discoveries, it is a miracle that things are preserved and that we can see as much of the past as we have been able to see.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I'm always surprised by what primary documents people are able to find from ancient times. Like, that's amazing to me.
Yep. So the angel Moroni is kind of a symbol of heralding in the restoration of the gospel and the second coming. Anyway, that's the symbol of the angel Moroni. I don't know. I don't want to take up too much time, but do you have something you want to add? I was going to go over like some of the symbols on the outside of the temple.
Well, it's up to you what order you want to do it in, because I can tell some of my family history that's associated with the Salt Lake Temple, if you would like to hear that now.
Go for it. Go for it.
So I have really considered how to tell you this story, and I thought about telling it to you chronologically, but that would be really boring. So I'm going to tell it to you how it unfolded in my life.
Okay.
When I was young, if we ever went to Temple Square, we always went to visit our tree. It was on the maybe the southeast corner.
Okay.
Of the Salt Lake Temple, and it was known as the bride's tree because a lot of couples would have their picture taken there.
Brides would like climb it.
Yes, there was a branch that was just at the right level, and it grew parallel to the ground, and then it curved up and it made this beautiful seat. So we would go visit that as a family all the time, and I just knew it was our tree, that it used to be in my grandparents' yard.
Whoa.
And as a kid, I just kind of took it for granted.
What? This tree used to be in your grandparents' yard?
Yes.
And they moved it?
Yes. So there were two.
Okay.
And they are honeysuckle trees. And honeysuckle doesn't usually grow that large, but these ones did. More of that story later. So as a kid, I didn't really know the history of it. In 1999, there was a tornado that came through Salt Lake. You both probably remember that was a crazy happening. Well, one of those honeysuckle trees was torn up with that hurricane. The bride's tree was not, but the other one was. Okay, more of that story to come to later. I'm trying to just stick with what I knew at the time, right? So when I was married in 2002, my husband and I, of course, went and got pictures with the bride's tree. But at that time, they didn't let brides sit on it anymore because it was getting older and weak, and it had a support rod holding up that longer branch that had been used as a bench, and they had put an actual bench in front of the tree for people to sit on to still have pictures with that tree. So they're kind of cool looking.
We'll post a picture on our Instagram.
They are gnarled and branches are low to the ground and the bark has a lot of texture. They're really neat looking. My grandparents had a sister tree still in their yard.
Okay.
So as a kid, I would climb it, and it was right next to an apricot tree, and we could pick the apricots and sit in the tree and eat them and then throw the pits at the other cousins. So I have very fond memories of this. My mom, her memories are that when she was 10, the church came and took the trees that she loved to play in and replaced them with some, I think they're blue spruce, that you can't play in.
You can't play in that.
Right? But she remembers having big machinery come, dig up the root balls being wrapped up.
What city is this in? My
grandparents' home was in Sugar House.
Okay.
And it's this pink stucco house that's pretty hard to miss. So my mom, she would kind of tell those stories of, those trees were in my yard and I used to play in them. And I didn't really think a lot more about this history. Well, we lived in Taylorsville 6 years ago, and our neighbor behind us was the head gardener at the Salt Lake Temple.
Lucky.
And, he had a beautiful yard and beautiful garden and all of that. And we're like, oh, he's a good gardener. But as we were preparing to sell our home, now we had lived there for 6 years, mind you. We had been neighbors. We had known each other. As we were preparing to sell our home, the neighbors behind us decided to replace their fence. So the fence between our yard and the Romrell's yard was all torn down. And one day I went back to talk to him, and somehow the conversation touched on this bride's tree. And I went, oh, I know that tree. It was in my grandparents' yard. And his jaw dropped.
Oh.
And he looked at me and he said, we have been looking for your family forever.
Oh my gosh. And you've been neighbor for 6 years, so.
And here we are ready to move. And he said, those trees are really important to the history of the grounds at Temple Square. And we don't have good documentation of how that all came about. And does your family have anything? So I was able to go to my mom and get copies of the newspaper clippings that she had and some photographs and take them to him. And he was able to put them in the church archives.
Nice.
So I learned really cool things from him that I didn't know, that was not part of the family lore that we told. So the gentleman who was the head gardener before him, and I don't remember his name, he and his wife were driving down 9th East, and his wife said, "Honey, look at those beautiful trees."
In your grandparents' yard.
That was
Because
in
I'm
my,
like,
yes.
why did they pick trees from your grandparents' yard? How did that happen?
This is how it happened. So, aren't those beautiful trees? We should stop and ask them if they were planted by pioneers. So they stopped and went and talked to my grandparents, and those honeysuckle trees were planted by the pioneers. They were the original owners of the land. Well, anyway, so they said, we would love to have them on Temple Square. They are part of our heritage. And my grandpa said, of course, of course. So that's how that came about. Someone noticed that they were beautiful and probably old and wanted to preserve that history. There are other plants on Temple Square that have a history, and Brother Romrell told me some of those stories. So it's neat to be part of that kind of combined legacy. There's a rose bush that was brought across the plains in a teacup.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard that story before? The teacup rose. There's some trees that were donated to the church after a temple was built in England. And I don't remember all the details of the story, but they're the David O. McKay trees. And so there's just neat history even in the plants that are growing around the temple. There's a little bit more to this story if you want to hear the end.
Yes.
Where we're at right now.
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Because
I have questions.
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we know that Temple Square is totally torn up, right? If you've been there any time in the last 5 years, there's no plants growing around the temple. They dug way down. There's giant holes. So in January of 2020, those honeysuckle trees were relocated. And notice I said trees. Right? There's two. The one that was blown over in the hurricane.
Tornado.
Sorry. Thank you. No, important detail. Be precise. So it was blown over, and Brother Romrell told me that he really wanted to save it, but that they just couldn't. So he made the decision to kind of clear it out. But he said not long after that, he noticed that there was some remaining trunk in the ground and that it was still growing.
Oh, trees are sneaky that way.
And he said, no, honeysuckle is a bush. It doesn't grow really big or really fast.
Yeah.
But that tree grew and grew. And so by the time it was 2020, it was big enough to be worth preserving.
Wow.
And so I have photographs that he took for me of these two trees being pulled up by a crane and lifted across the street in downtown Salt Lake and put on a flatbed truck so that they could be relocated, so that they would have a safe place to grow until they can be replanted.
Okay, and they're going to replant them. That's really neat.
It's great also that they will have mature trees in the new space.
Well, hopefully they survive because they are old and they have been through a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is so cool.
So, because they have one tree still standing on Temple Square, don't they? That giant.
Oh, do they?
Isn't that the tree that's from Jerusalem thing?
I don't know.
I wish I knew and thought to look up the story before I got here.
Well, that just gives everybody a little something to research.
Yeah.
Research the tree that is left on, because everything else is gone. But there is one very giant tree that
around the assembly hall and the tabernacle was not touched. So everything on that west side is okay.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. So this giant tree was on the southeast corner. Obviously, it must be far enough away. I don't know. See, I'm going to have to go back and double check what I'm saying.
No, but I believe you. Okay. I think they would want to preserve some of the big trees.
Yeah, because it's a very big tree. Right. Yeah, no, that one wouldn't have been movable, and it was a very special tree.
And it's a Jerusalem tree.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling us that story.
I'm so happy I got to share that. And so I love that all those pieces came together. And now I can appreciate that part of my family history a lot more.
Yeah, it's so unique.
I love how plants are part of our family history. I have a plant at home that is from my great-grandmother.
There you go.
What kind of a plant?
It's one of those really easy house plants that I would have killed.
Like a pothos or something?
Yeah, that's what it is. And I can take sprigs off and make
more.
new ones.
Yeah.
And this one has been a sprig from. Anyways.
Yes, but that's cool.
I haven't killed it.
It's a good way to share the love.
Yep. Anyway, side note.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about symbolism.
Okay, there's some, if you've ever walked around the Salt Lake Temple and really paid attention to what's on the stones, there's some really interesting symbols on the stones. So kind of, there's earth stones.
They just look like circles, turns out. I thought it was something else. They're just circles.
I wish, yes.
But I don't begrudge them not carving in.
But they're called earth stones.
Okay, they're the circle ones at the bottom.
They're the circle ones at the bottom.
I thought I know that now.
Yeah.
So I was always like, I didn't see any earth stones.
I know, right? And because some other temples actually have the carving of nymphs in them. Anyways, that's in maybe more newer ones.
Yeah.
I guess those guys were just more worried about getting walls. Anyways, so yeah, those are on the bottom. And then above the earths. And they kept calling them buttresses. They're not. I know, they kept saying buttresses, but it is not like Notre Dame.
We're not architectural.
Notre Dame, they are flying buttresses, and that's why they look different. So if they...
Buttress is just a column.
They are up against the building, and they have a support role. They're not just decorative, but they help hold things together. That makes it a buttress.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long, and high school art history. I know those strange things.
So as you climb up the buttress, you've got the earth stone and then the moonstones. And those ones, they do carve different phases. And if you want to get really deep into stuff on which phases and the timing of the year, you can. Or you can just think about the moonstones and its different phases and how we might go through different phases of changing or whatever you want to apply to that.
Yeah, human journey.
Yep, the human journey. And then above those moonstones are sunstones. And which can be easy to depict that, that can be these stones, the earth stone, the moonstone, the sunstone. And then they also have stars, are kind of like the progression of a telestial, terrestrial, celestial kingdom. And of course, the sun being the celestial kingdom. So, yeah.
Are there sunstones on the Nauvoo temple also?
Yeah.
Are they the same?
They're different.
They are different.
The Nauvoo one's more long, wider, and a half sun. I don't know.
Okay, and all of these ones that you're describing, they're a circle inside a square, right?
Yes.
So that is also symbolic. Do you know the symbolism of a circle within a square?
Okay, sure.
So a square represents earth, right? Like the 4 quarters of the earth. And a circle, or mortality, exactly. And a circle represents eternity.
Yeah.
And so I love that because the temple is a place where mortality comes together with eternity to create this beautiful symbolism.
Love that.
It's also in a lot of temples, the octagon represents this circling of the square.
Neat.
Yeah. So if you're in a temple with it could be 2 squares interlocking, in a star, an 8-pointed star, or just an octagon. It's the same idea as the circling of the square.
Okay.
I didn't know that about the octagon. Now I'm going to see it in more places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay. There's a few more. Those are kind of the easy ones. So there's cloud stones.
Yeah. Tell me about the cloud stones.
Okay. So the cloud stones they can represent a couple different things. In ancient time, when they, in the Old Testament, when they built temples, the cloud of the Lord, when it was dedicated, the cloud of the Lord would come into the temple, like kind of Mount Sinai, cloud of the Lord.
Yes.
You could also think of it as the cloud, that the light is coming out of the clouds and out of the darkness and spreading to the whole earth.
There you go.
So the cloud stones are kind of pretty, and
they just don't they just don't fit. It's my thing, but that's just me.
Where are they?
I think they're on.
Okay, the buttresses of the east center tower also include cloud stones, which show rays of sunlight penetrating through the clouds.
There you go. Neat.
So the restoration coming through the darkness, and
it reminds me of Elder Uchtdorf's talk about open your umbrella, or don't shield yourself from revelation.
Okay.
Don't use an umbrella to block revelation. Like, be open to it.
I like that.
I liked when he talked about that.
Okay, so have you guys ever noticed the Big Dipper?
I haven't. I've heard it's on there. I've never looked that hard for it.
No. Okay, I noticed.
I saw it on a picture of it here.
Yeah, it's like on the west. Is that the west side? I know it is.
On the west side.
So I don't know if you guys know constellations, if you line up a couple of the stars on the Big Dipper, it points to the North Star. And apparently this is literal on this one. It points to the North Star. So
wait,
it's lined up.
It's lined up
to point to the actual North Star.
That's what I read. So maybe we'll have Bob go and check that out and do his little thing and say, yeah, that's right.
But that's cool. But it's also like the temple points you to Christ, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So the North Star is the point that travelers would use to be able to guide themselves in their travels, which can be, if we're pointed to Christ, we can, in our travels, will be guided the right way, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, the hand clasp. Have you guys ever seen that?
There's two of those, right? One on each end?
I think so, yes. Like, was it above the doors?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that can just be a symbol of right hands of fellowship or brotherly love or unity, sisterly love.
Yes.
Or unity. And also, I think it's President Gordon B. Hinckley, he declared that the temple is a house of covenants. Here we promise solemnly and sacredly to live the gospel of Jesus Christ in its finest expression, and that can be visually like a hand clasp, like a symbol of making a covenant. So I kind of like that. Yeah, a promise. And then the last one, there's a few others, but I'm just going to touch on this one, is the all-seeing eye.
Yes.
And it's located atop the center towers of the temple. Do you see it in there?
I don't have a picture of it.
Okay, well, you guys can all look it up. And I guess it represents God's ability to see all things, which is really great, but I'm really, really sorry. But the only thing I can think of is the Lord of the Rings. I'm really sorry about that.
Symbolism is tricky.
It is.
That's funny. Sauron was not where my mind was going. I was thinking about like the Egyptian god Ra, because his symbol is also.
Okay, well, there you go.
And everybody goes to Masonic or Illuminati, but
that one, the Illuminati was definitely a thing, but probably because I'm watching the Rings of Power right now, I just can't keep it out of my head.
The thing about symbolism is that it's powerful because it does cross so many boundaries. And universal symbols come up again and again because they are meaningful to us as humans.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the clouds and the hand clasp, I was reminded of a symbol that is often found in Renaissance art and earlier Christian art, really early Christian art, where you have clouds and the hand of God reaching down out of the clouds.
Yes.
Yeah. As that God reaching down to bless his children or whatever. And I love that. I love seeing symbolism from ancient Christianity that then flows into modern Christianity and into the restored church. We don't do as much of that symbolism now, I feel, or maybe it's just different.
I think it's different. I listened to a church architect talk once, and he talked about how symbolism can change meaning. Like meanings can change over time.
Absolutely.
And so that's why they're a little bit sheepish to go, like a swastika used to be something else, and now it's this. A rainbow used to be this, and now it's this. That kind of thing. So it's hard to put it into a temple that you want to last forever.
Because the symbol can change.
Well, now they use a lot of botanical themes.
Yes.
They look at the plants and flowers that are native to the area, and they use those. But they still are using geometry a lot. But anyway, that's just what I was told.
That is such a good point. And symbols are different across cultures.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you would need to be mindful of that too.
You would have to look into the history in the Old Testament of why they maybe had certain symbols to understand everything that's happening. And I just like it's more direct now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they used to they did stained glass windows in churches because people couldn't read. So they told the stories of the Bible in the windows so that it was illustrated. And now we have videos, and the videos can explain everything to us.
Yeah.
And even if you can't read. So
Yeah.
yeah. So symbolism's tricky, but sometimes very beautiful.
So this temple, they had originally had a different design for the inside of the temple, but over 40 years, things kind of changed where...
Well, the purpose of the temple changed. So once they did Kirtland and Nauvoo, they had those 2 assembly halls in each one.
Yeah.
And now they did St. George, and they realized that's not what a temple is. And they had changed St. George, taken out one of the assembly halls to use it for ordinance rooms.
Yeah.
And so now they know, okay, this is what it's for. This is how we need to change the floor plan.
Yeah.
To not include the assembly halls.
They still have 1.
Yeah.
But they would do 2, like on one level and the next level.
It was more, at first it was a purpose of more of a meeting house, and then the purpose changed to be endowments. And so while this temple was being built, they did have an endowment house.
Yeah.
Where
they
would
talk about the endowment house?
Sure.
They could only do live ceremonies, nothing for the dead.
Yeah.
And so people were married there. People could get their own endowments, but they couldn't do anything for the dead, for their ancestors.
Yeah. And that was just a small building on Temple Square.
Yeah.
And was it finished before the rest of the temple?
Oh, yeah. It was like, that's what it was for. They built it pretty much when they started building the temple. They're like, we need something to be able to do these things. And then once the manifesto came out that stopped polygamy, they tore that down because they were close enough to finishing the temple. They just didn't, they wanted to tell the government, like, we are not doing this. We have taken down the place where this was happening. And so they were close enough to finishing the temple at that point that they didn't need it.
That's cool.
It's an important thing to talk about.
And have you heard the lore that they left those shafts in those corners open for elevator? They didn't even know what they were for. And later it was for elevators.
I thought they did know what they were for.
It's true.
Didn't know what elevators were.
They did know what elevators were and all that electricity. They put it there on purpose.
Oh, we are here to debunk the myth.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elevators are a thing.
They were very well educated in England and other places, and they purposely put those shafts in there so to build, to modernize and put those things in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that all you're good?
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that in the building of the temple, like, a generation passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people who started it died before it was finished.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And it was like people had lived their whole lives while it was under construction.
Yeah.
And just, they didn't know if they would ever finish it.
Yeah.
5 people did die in the construction of the temple.
In accidents?
Yes. They fell from great heights. It's unfortunate.
What is that? Hosha?
It was not on site. Yeah.
Dang.
It wasn't very preventable, but they just stepped wrong and there wasn't enough scaffolding. But it was really high up. I have 2 stories.
Okay. Awesome.
2 bombings affected the temple. Bombings. The first was not intended for the temple, but in 1910, the Hotel Utah, which we know as the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, was under construction, and the ironworkers were having some disagreement about union rules. Somebody set off a bomb in there, and it hit Moroni's trumpet.
What?
And shattered some windows all along the street.
Wow.
It knocked his trumpet to the side. So they hired these guys called steeplejacks, which are just guys who climb a ton of ladders to really high places.
No thanks.
So they said the effort it took to lash all of the ladders together so that he could get to Moroni. He got onto Moroni's shoulders. I really wish I could see a picture.
Heavens, no thanks.
And then he's like, the effort it took to get up here was nothing compared to like hammering it back in place. That's all it took.
Okay.
It was an easy fix, but it's the same Moroni. Like they didn't replace it until like now.
Well, I'm sorry, but it was not fixed well enough.
That's why I think it fell off at the earthquake. It's because he had hammered it back and it had weakened.
And it was weak.
Anyway, I thought that was funny. The second bombing was in 1962 for, we'll say, political reasons. I don't know what they were. Nobody knows which political reasons. But someone set off a bomb on the east doors of the temple. And it caused a lot of damage to windows and doors. The doorknob flew through and broke into a wall. And the investigation was taken over by the FBI, but they never really learned anything from their investigation. So,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So, it's something.
Well, they built that temple strong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nothing's taking it down for sure, especially now.
No, so I don't know if we're ever going to do anything about the renovation.
We should talk about renovation. I have a few things to talk about in the dedicatory prayer.
Yeah,
I just have
let's do that.
2 quotes. He said, this is Wilford Woodruff did the dedication. "O Lord, we regard with intense and indescribable feelings the completion of this sacred house. Deign to accept this, the 4th temple, which thy covenant children have been assisted by thee in erecting in these mountains." They were just so done. They were like, finally. And I'm sure they wish Brigham Young had been there to see it, but
yeah,
he probably was. It's fine. The next quote is, "Bless them, we pray thee, in their labors, that they may not fall into errors in preparing their genealogies. And furthermore, we ask thee to open before them new avenues of information and place in their hands the records of the past, that their work may not only be correct, but complete also." So little chills.
Nice.
1893.
That is really profound.
Yeah. So nothing really came of, I mean, I don't know what genealogical growth happened between 1893 and 1990 before the internet, but I'm sure there was a lot.
Microfiche.
Yeah, having
Fancy.
libraries and all of that was a building block to getting the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah, really, all the technology is to help further the Lord's work, right?
Yeah, so it can be correct and complete. Okay, that was all I had. Let's talk about the renovation, because I think you have some secret knowledge.
I don't know about that, but I'm just going to add this, that the building of the Salt Lake Temple was seen as a fulfillment of the prophet Isaiah. "And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it."
For real.
Yeah. So I think that's really nice.
I remember in 2002 when we had the Olympics come to Utah, that verse was quoted all the time. You know, all the world will come to the top of the mountains and to the house of the Lord. And, you know, that was the year that I was married, so it's extra special.
You can always remember.
Yeah. Okay, and I have one last thing. This is kind of my family will just laugh at me.
Why?
Okay, so when they did the groundbreaking, they sang the song "Auld Lang Syne."
So did you want to sing it for us?
No, but I can read it.
All right.
Because we sing this every New Year's. Every New Year's Eve, we have a nice big party and we stand in a circle when we've said Happy New Year, and I make them sing the song.
And so it was sung at the groundbreaking.
The groundbreaking.
So not the cornerstone ceremony or
the groundbreaking.
The groundbreaking.
Yeah. "Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind, should old acquaintance be forgot in the days of Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, Okay, so this is a song, right?
Yes.
But anyways, we'll drink a cup of kindness yet for the sake of Auld Lang Syne." So it's burying the past and starting anew and fresh. And so I just thought that's appropriate for starting that temple in the new Salt Lake Valley, where they've got a new fresh start. So
yeah, new city, new civilization, new temple.
Yeah.
Maybe you should sing that every time you start something new.
Well, okay, because I do like the song.
There's some good renditions of it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about renovation then. First, it was renovated in the 60s, just like the others have been, but it was not rededicated.
Okay, yeah.
So it was closed in 1962 they demolished the old annex that was built originally. They cleaned the stone, they replaced the mechanical and plumbing and all that. Then the temple reopened May 1963. So they didn't rededicate it, is from what I understand. And then they built a new annex. And while that was being built, they used what we call the North Visitor Center as a temporary annex. That was dedicated. And then the new annex was finished and opened in 1966. And it had 7 ceiling rooms, children's waiting room, 2 locker rooms. It had a bunch of stuff. And it was
7 added to the already, 20?
Not yet.
Okay.
The annex was formally dedicated on its own in 1967. So that's just before this renovation. They did do some things, but I feel like it was often being renovated. I remember talking to somebody in the early 2000s, their son was doing the floors of the temple. And,
Oh, yeah.
like stuff like that was always happening.
And they don't have to like rededicate every time.
My brother was involved with some restoration in the celestial room. There was some water damage in one of the murals, and he worked for a company that did decorative finishing work in the temples. He mostly did gold leaf. That time they were repairing some of the murals, and he said it was an interesting experience.
I have some bad news. They are not keeping the murals.
That is true.
But that makes me think Logan is not going to get murals either.
Dang.
We have been talking all about Logan, and I'm really ready for it to start getting renovated. It's the next one. So that's just me.
Yeah. So they are going to preserve them.
Right.
And I think maybe they learned after the Manti one, like people like these old murals.
Yeah, they were very careful about, they're not getting rid of them.
They are preserved, but they are beautiful. And like these temples, they were built for live sessions, and they had live sessions in there all the way up until this new renovation. And it would be a progressive style where you would move from room to room. Anyway,
they had a purpose.
Yes. Now it'll be one room, no murals, no moving video.
Yes. And then a common veil room.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fine.
Some things must be sacrificed for the sake of streamlining the process.
Yes, they want to get
like efficiency
all
too.
These people their endowments, and that's valid.
So many.
That's the work.
Yeah. So I just saw a post that they have started on the new annex, and that's where they're going to put the new ceiling rooms, like a lot of them, and the baptistries. The baptistries on the underground new part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 more instruction rooms, 10 more ceiling rooms, and a second baptistry will be added.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's going to have the most
huge
ceiling rooms. Do you guys want to know square footage?
Yeah.
Original temple square footage, 253,000 square feet.
Okay.
Of the original temple.
Yes.
Say that number again.
53,000. When we talked about Logan and Manti, they were about 50.
Yeah.
So this is 5 times.
Yeah.
5 times
Yes.
bigger. New square footage, over 380,000 square feet.
Yeah.
A lot of it is going to be all that underground entrance. And, have you seen that? Like they're building 2.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what they call
them. They're 2 building
pavilions.
Pavilions on the north side.
You go downstairs to the recommend desk.
Okay.
And then there's a whole bunch of stuff down there.
Yeah. Most of the temple is underground.
Yeah. I think the baptistry's in there.
Yeah.
The baptistries.
Yeah.
And then
there's 2 of them.
And then the rest of the stuff is in the temple. But they are building another annex.
The stuff in the temple, the only thing I think they're doing in the original temple is the endowment rooms, and I guess the celestial room.
Yeah.
And kind of everything else is in this new renovation part. Yeah. It's really huge.
It is huge.
So if you go and if you want to look up pictures of the temples and like side by side, so you can see how like the size of Kirtland versus the size of Nauvoo versus
the size of Salt Lake.
Yeah, and Manti are even bigger, and then Salt Lake, you're like, oh yeah, that thing's huge.
A little bit like those comparisons of the Titanic to a modern cruise ship.
A little bit, yeah.
Kirtland. But then when we come up to it, we're going to get to Washington, D.C. That thing is huge.
Los Angeles was the biggest before this.
Okay, Los Angeles and Washington, D.C.
Huge.
Yep.
We're going to talk about those.
Good thing.
We'll get there. They have been working on, besides all the structural stuff, I don't want to brush past that because that's like most of what they're doing. Anyway, that's a lot. I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
But they dug all the way down. They filled some things with cement. They drilled holes all the way through the temple to connect it.
Oh my gosh.
The base
videos.
Yeah.
That are available.
Yes. There's a lot of videos trying to explain. I've been there a few times to look at the construction, and every time Bob is telling me exactly what those things mean and what they're doing and how they're going to do it. And I think I've probably heard it at least 10 or 12 or 20 times. And I'm still just finally, okay, I think I get it. It's going to be lifted up.
Yes.
So
that the base isolators can move and the temple won't move.
Yeah, I think like 5 feet in any direction. And there's it's going to be not surrounded by dirt. It's going to be like this air pocket around it so that when it moves, it's not going to hit any. I don't know.
That's good to know.
It's kind of amazing. And I'm sure if you want to delve into all of it, it's all, I'm sure, on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of people like Bob that want to explain it.
Yeah.
Does this make you think about the ongoing restoration of the gospel?
Oh, there's a lot of it, right? Isn't it great?
The temple, which is this icon of our history and our heritage, and that it is being improved and protected by modern technology. And I think about the way that missionary work has been improved and protected during COVID, for example, by modern technology.
Yeah.
And that, the work of God goes forth boldly and unimpeded.
Yeah. Oh, anytime there's changes, I'm just like, oh, yes. All right. Let's
peel back
do it.
another layer.
Take your vitamins.
Yeah. We got it.
Get your sleep. Take your vitamins. All right. Are we ready to do stats?
Yes.
Are we done with all of our stories? It's going to be crazy. Okay. It was announced in July 1847 because that's when they got to the valley. It was when Brigham put his staff in the ground and said, here we will build the temple of our God. I should not have done that. But Ben does it all the time. And so that's just kind of how we talk when we do Brigham Young.
I thought that was a really good impression.
It's on the internet now. July 1847. He's announced to whoever's standing next to him that this is where we're going to build the temple. The site was dedicated in 1853. That's February 1853 when he said, let's get these foundations dug out. And then groundbreaking. Oh no. And then,
same thing.
Yeah. The public open house was April 1893 because the dedication was also April 1893. So 40 years later, Wilford Woodruff did the dedication. It's going to be the biggest, most ceiling rooms, biggest square footage, tallest temple probably. I don't know.
DC is pretty big.
LA is really big too. 82,207 square feet, which is just mind-boggling to me because the next biggest one is not that big. Small temples are 10,000 square feet.
Oh man, that's amazing.
So that's just to put it in perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this makes me grateful for temple workers that stand at the top of stairs and tell you which way to go.
Because you would have no idea.
Goodness. The height is 222 feet. And I think that's everything. It's beautiful. Can't wait to go to the open house. We got to figure out how to get in. We got to get media passes. So this podcast has to get real big, real fast.
We're going to do it.
We can do a live podcast from the pavilion. What else? Okay. Yeah.
In the temple, there's an assembly hall, but there's also lots of other meeting rooms that the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 Apostles meet to discuss things from the church. And they used to have, I can't wait for the visitors, however they do the visitor center. They used to have a cutout and you could see all the rooms.
So you talked to me about this. They're going to do, they call it a guest visitor. It's just another name for visitor center. Okay. But they're going to have like models of the rooms.
Yeah.
So you can go and walk through. Yeah, you can see what a baptistry looks like and you can see what an instruction room looks like. Yeah. I think they're just trying to like take away the mystery and be like, we're not doing anything crazy.
Kind of like a permanent open house.
Yeah.
A mini temple permanent open house.
Yeah. This will be in one of the pavilions, I think.
Or I am so glad they're doing that. Yeah. Because we let people go through it. It's not supposed to be a mystery.
Yeah. Here's another fun fact. In the early 1900s, some guy snuck in with a camera and he took pictures of a lot of the rooms and he started selling them. And the prophet, I think it was Joseph F. Smith, was like, well, why don't we just do that? Why don't we just take the pictures and let everybody see? So
and there's this much curiosity.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So you can see what's inside. Anyway, so that's kind of the same vibe.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery. It's just take some pictures.
It's great. Okay, I'm not going to go back in time anymore. Go ahead and finish.
We're thankful that Becky was able to come with us. I think you're invited back anytime.
I would love to. I don't think I have any more amazing stories, but I will come and learn from you and say wow as many times as I need to.
That's all we need. That's all we have for the Salt Lake Temple. I have been there to visit. I think the only time I've been inside was maybe for a wedding, but I got to check on that.
I was lucky enough to, before they closed it, me and my friends, she's like, I really want to go. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And we got in there before they closed it. And we're able to do a live session.
Actually, I did that too. I forgot.
Okay, well,
also, I did baptisms when I was in college.
It's okay.
We hope to make it to the open house soon. If you have great stories about this or another Pioneer Temple, please share it with us on our Instagram at Every Temple Podcast. Thank you for being with us as we discuss the Salt Lake Temple. If you want to know more about why we build temples and the role they play in our religion, please visit churchofjesuschrist.org/temples. We are not sponsored by or affiliated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Done.